They say you either have time or money, and generally you can't have both. And I'm sure despite many of us reading Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek religiously, I sense that most of us would agree. So today I'm going to share with you a massive shortcut that the biggest online entrepreneurs have leveraged to a massive extent and made millions. And that is quite simply buying and selling online assets. And one of my favorite places to do that is the Empire Flippers marketplace, which you can access through clicking the link below in the description. Empire Flippers has a great reputation. They handle the whole process of selling your website and migrating it across due diligence in the first place. When I first sold my website with them, I was able to get an accurate valuation with no obligation, just to try and understand what I was working with, and therefore give me the ability to choose whether I wanted to sell my website or not. And it was pretty much all hands-free. And I think their service fee is very reasonable when you consider the amount of work they do. So click the link below and follow along with some of these listings with me. While I need to give you the usual caution that this is not financial advice, I'm not qualified to give that. I'm just going to give you my personal overview of the buying and selling online businesses market. It is up to you to seek your own advice about what's actually right for you. Generally, I've always believed that online businesses represent one of the best asset classes out there. Now, sure, there have been a few hiccups along the way, like if you bought a content site a few years ago and then got hit with the helpful content update. No investment strategy is effective 100% of the time. Just a few months ago, I bought a load of Bitcoin mining stocks, and they're now down 50%, while my good old S&P 500 tracker and NASDAQ tracker are up 10%. So generally, you probably shouldn't get investment advice from me. However, let's just look through the objective numbers here. That generally an online business will sell for around 30 to 40 times its monthly profit. And that basically means two things. One is that if you have an online business, then you can flip it and get 2.5 years worth of earnings up front. And that's exactly what I did with my business on Empire Flippers. I was able to get 43 times my monthly profit from this website, which I then used to provide the seed capital, the seed investment to start my agency. But that 30x multiplier also means that if you buy a website, assuming it doesn't go to zero, you are quite likely to make your investment back in 2.5 years. Now, if you're like me and you're an online entrepreneur, you want everything now, you're really impatient, then that might not sound that appealing. But actually, just think what you were doing 2.5 years ago today. I can't believe it's going to be 2025 in just a few weeks. So whatever you were doing in the middle of 2022, you could potentially have bought a website at that point, and in just a few weeks' time, it's likely you could have made your full investment back. And then that asset could keep on performing, keep on delivering that monthly profit for years and years. So you've literally printed money. Now, yes, of course, there's an element of risk. The website could go down. It could also go up. And if you've got any particular leverage, if you've got a skill set that you can bring to a business that's maybe a bit old and neglected, it hasn't been optimized, then you could potentially buy it for 50 to 100 grand, improve it and increase that profit, get your money back in a year or two, and then sell it again for a much higher multiple. I know a number of people who have been very successful in doing this. One of the classic plays, for instance, with e-com sites is most of them rely on paid traffic. So if you've got a skill set in SEO like I have, and you can get the organic really performing, so you can write more content, get the category pages sorted, build a load of backlinks to it, and therefore rapidly increase the profit through SEO, then suddenly you've added a significant increase to that valuation, as well as your monthly cash flow. Now, the great thing about buying is, yes, it's risky, but so is starting new. And with starting new, it's going to take you a year or two to build up to that level. Whereas if you can get, I don't like the term turnkey, these businesses are always going to have work to do, things to fix, things are still going to go wrong. But the fact is, if they're making money now, then there's a good chance they're going to keep making money. You might have to maintain it, you might have lower months, but the fact is the risk profile is probably a lot better than starting new. And it depends on your financial position, but if you've got cash in the bank, then arguably spending 50 grand on a slightly risky bet to acquire an asset, but an asset that is actually making money, could actually make a lot more sense than spending a lot of time trying to get a new business off the ground. So this is where you see the real successful entrepreneurs, where you can't get rich if your time is too heavily involved. So if you can buy an existing business, you skip that initial learning phase, you're just investing your cash, not your time. Hopefully you've got a team or experts who can take on some of the work to actually improve it, but this is massive leverage. Imagine buying 5 online businesses, each one for $50,000, and 2.5 years you've got your money back. And let's assume that a $50,000 business is therefore making between $1,000 and $2,000 per month. You'll then have a portfolio of businesses bringing you in 5 to 10K per month, arguably for many years if they're not dependent on a single platform. So how do you actually do it? It might be a bit off-putting when you come on here and you see these websites priced in the millions. And you see they've got this really complicated whole e-commerce stack. And if you're not an expert in that field, then of course that's a big risk. So there are major VCs and aggregators on these marketplaces. A couple of years ago, there was a big boom with Amazon aggregators that were literally buying up any FBA business. So businesses based on Amazon using Amazon's fulfillment stack and basically doing strategic buys to try and build up their portfolio. So today, let's keep it simple. What business could you potentially buy tomorrow? So let's just do a basic sort and do price low to high. This one I had a look at yesterday. I actually quite like it. This e-commerce business sells car and motorcycle accessories and merchandise with a unique focus on automotive humor and boomer humor. And it's basically print on demand. It makes $7,000 a month in revenue, $1,500 a month in profit, and you can pick it up for $40,000. So margin of 21%, which is actually not bad. As you've seen in my other videos on e-com SEO, I know those people who are making millions with e-com, but also spending millions on ads. So the overall profit margin is tiny. So for all those millions, they're actually only keeping a couple of grand a month. So you really want to dig into the details here and work out how much the seller is actually doing, what sort of team is in place, how much is actually transferring with that, how turnkey is it, and how involved do you need to be? Is it reliant on any particular knowledge that the seller has that you don't have? But generally, I really like it. Supply chain is streamlined, majority of products being handled by print-on-demand suppliers. They're using Facebook ads, so there's a bit of a platform risk there in terms of if the Facebook algorithm changes, you could be in trouble. And they do spend 4 hours a week managing those Facebook ads campaigns. So ideally, you want to have some experience with Facebook ads. But generally, overall, it's listed at 26x multiple. So for $40,000, it's quite likely you could get your $40,000 back in about 2 years. And again, seems like a long time, but if you invested $40,000 today in the S&P 500, in 2 years, on average, you'll probably make around $6,000 to $8,000. Whereas in this case, in 2 years, if this carries on, you could get back your full $40,000, and then it keeps on going. Not forgetting, of course, could you somehow increase these numbers? So either adding more products, adding other ad channels, or simply increasing the spend on the existing ads. Let's go and find another one. This one was pretty interesting. AI artwork being sold. I don't really want to touch this one because I just don't understand it enough. It sounds like they're literally slapping AI art on products. So again, not a massively high multiple. This one I really liked. So this is a drop shipping site for hobby equipment, as in a specific niche of hobby. Now, like most drop shipping, of course, the margins are low. So they make $30,000 a month, but the profit from that is only $1,800. So that doesn't seem too appealing, but this business has been going since 2005. So that really gives you an idea of the potential longevity of this business. When you see some of these, like the AI art one created in 2023, you think, great, they made this initial traction. There's no guarantee that's going to carry on for another 2 years. Something that's using the latest hype, the latest trend could blow up tomorrow. So even if it's not massively profitable, a business that has reliably delivered for nearly 20 years now is actually really appealing. This one looks pretty good in my unqualified opinion. 24x monthly multiple. So if it carries on making $3,750 per month, you'll make your money back in 2 years. Created in 2020, so it's fairly established. It's $90,000, so it's not out of reach of most of us. It's not one of these big 7-figure deals. And it sells 3D printing filament. This is always fun. Anything proprietary is great. I've talked before on my channel how whenever I'm looking to build a business, grow a business, I'm trying to look for barriers to entry. When you start a business, when you're just starting out, you want something that's easy as possible, like a service business, where if you've just got a few skills, you can reach out to other businesses and offer those skills. But as you start going up the chain, you want to try and find more difficult niches, which are harder to penetrate, because that provides you some moat and security. So that's why I work with a lot of insurers, because for me to actually get approved to sell financial products is a big barrier to entry. You generally have to be based where I am in the UK, and there's a lot of back and forth to actually getting approved. So that eliminates a lot of competition. Now, in this case, the business holds a privileged position in the market with exclusive US sales right to a patented filament type, which fulfills specific niches unmet by existing market options. So really, the only red flag I'm seeing here is that 92% of sales are from Amazon, but they are getting growing sales from Walmart and WooCommerce. So like I said earlier, if you can get one of these products, and like I say, it really comes down to the product. If there's this proprietary product that's special, then you can market it all over the place. And if they're only focused on one channel, that's a big growth opportunity. So in my case, I'd be really tempted by this one, because if they're on WooCommerce, I can rank that website much better in organic search. Overall, really like that one. In fact, I'm not sure I want to share it. So you get the idea. Despite all the negativity in the market with recent Google updates, you'll notice I'm not really looking at content websites here, and that's really unfortunate. Lots of us got burned, but we can move on. We know that ecom is working really well right now, and in my case, I've done it. I've spent months trying to source products, trying to find the right niche, but I think by a long way, the best option for me is to leapfrog past that early stage, avoid those mistakes, and just dive in with an existing brand, an existing product. A lot of these are not that expensive. So if you can get $100,000, $150,000 together and you can afford to lose it, again, unregulated financial advice, don't invest what you're not prepared to lose. But personally, 22x multiple, I could potentially get my $150,000 back in 2 years' time. If I was sitting on some savings, I wasn't quite sure what to do with my time, then to plow in $150,000 to make $6,500 per month is really tempting. And if all goes well, it's a big if, but then potentially I could just wait for 2 years, make my initial investment back, and then sell it again back on Empire Flippers. Of course, Empire Flippers isn't the only option. There's various out there. Flipper is another big one. And I've been looking a lot at Acquire as well, which has got a bit more of a SaaS focus. But Empire Flippers remains my favorite. So click the link below and go and have a look at some of those listings.